Hi, thanks for coming to the second episode of Something to Say. Last week was really cool. I got a pretty good response. I was surprised, and mostly because I talked so long. It was a little bit more than 3 minutes, 4 minutes tops, more like 8 or 9 to be exact. So if you watched all the way through, thanks. I really appreciate it. Don't expect you to do that every time. Hopefully, whatever I share, the information or the thinking roaming around in my brain is interesting and you enjoy it. The next thing I wanted to talk about, so this being episode 2, takes off from where I left it last week when we talked about content marketing strategies. One of the things that has become extremely important for most of us as marketers in the last, I would say, 24 months is really starting to focus on content marketing strategy. The reason for this is primarily because of the buzz around ad blocking. And those of us that are in the business and the business of creating great advertising, great content to share, mostly ads though. I'm going to be, really candid. We've got a formula going where we buy a number of banner ads, we put some really cool creative out, we test it ABN, we can throw it out there, programmatic buying. And the problem is we're all kind of getting burned out on ads. They're not really that great. In some cases, we all know that over 50% of whatever we really put out there doesn't resonate well with whom we're talking with. So we're always testing, optimizing, testing. And the problem is at the end of the day, we have more control as consumers of this media than ever before to say, I am so over this. To the left, goodbye. If we're talking about having to overcome the challenges with ad blocking, and we're marketers and we're talking to the folks that we have to convince that a simple ad buy formula, we're going to go out there, we're going to buy some space, have some great calls to action. We've got to be able to convince people that are those that approve our budgets. We have to convince them that there's more work required. There's more thinking. There's more need for additional bodies even. It can't be this but actually this hit the button, walk away, and it manages itself. Now, candidly, we could argue that programmatic buying allows us to do that, but that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about being able to overcome the desire by most of our consumers, including ourselves, to turn off the noise. I don't want to hear from you unless it's relevant, unless it makes a difference in my life. Why do I care that you're interrupting me? You have not given me a reason to sit up and pay attention and to want to know more. So, okay, that's really, at the end of the day, why content marketing strategies are so important. That's the next challenge. The next thing we walk into this brick wall of, well, what's the story we have to tell? What am I going to talk about? I've got to have a lot of content. You really do. You have to have a pretty good, deep, healthy, interesting degree of content, or I'm going to get bored. I'm going to move on. It has to be able to have longevity. You should be able to use it over a period of time, and it's sustainability. And from there, I think of the word sustenance. We have to feed the beast that is our consumer, which we are a part of, our consumer base. So if it's about feeding the beast, I got to tell that beast a pretty good story. And that's a whole nother maybe few minutes, 5-10 minutes of talking about your brand story, why it's important, how should you identify it, who owns it. But again, I want to take a step back from this marketing strategy, content marketing side, and say, once you know the story, and you get that genuine, authentic connection to what that story is all about, who owns the telling of it? Who's responsible for that? Well, we do believe that it is those of us in marketing for the most part, but is it also sales? Is it marketing and sales? Is it customer service? Is it the employees every day, how they feel about where they work, the evangelization of that? I think it is. And again, I take it back to the bottom line, because all of this content marketing, this is a really nice connection to segue into your business goals. The bottom line, if we're not able to really resonate with that audience, we won't drive the bottom line. Now, that takes me into quickly persona building. Persona building is something I love from a web development perspective. We talk about, we don't talk about it. We actually build out personas. When you visit a website, I have to be thinking about, what do you want to do on that website? Where might you go? What is your path to conversion? Well, it's not even just about your path to conversion from a website, the home of the brand, the brick and mortar version, the virtual version of the brick and mortar. We have to now think about how I'm going to convert you and bring you to this decision to purchase, connect with your personal why across all these channels, the omni-channel reality that we live in. And so know me. Know me in those moments of need. Know me in those moments of desire, want. And that takes us into the interesting Forrester case study that hopefully most of us are aware of. Google sponsored it, and it talks about our micro moments. Oh man, I really need to go eat and I'm in this area and I want to be able to search a local joint that's off the grid that I really want to try out, or, I'm okay with the big chain. Or, wow, check out those really cool boots, or that fly jacket. Yes, I know, fly is not cool. But anyway, I just want to go check that out and buy it right there on the spot. And there's been a lot of talk about that. I'm not really sharing anything that's a big revelation. Gosh, I hope I'm not sharing anything that's a big revelation. So how do we get that done in the addition to the existing work of marketing and all the tasks and doings and goings on that we already have? Well, we have to make a commitment that our job is that of more of an editor and a publisher. It's interesting. Take a look at our folks over. Yeah, I had to cut the video. I had a complete brain freeze. Or whatever else you'd like to call it. I was trying to remember Seth Godin's name. Hello. But one of his more recent posts was talking about the mythical 10 times marketer. And that's where I'm seeing this challenge of being able to understand. He talks about it being understanding that the job isn't to do marketing the way the person before you did it, but that the way your boss asked you to do it, it's strategic. So what are we going to do around content marketing strategies? A couple of things I would tell you to do. One, right away, go check out Seth Godin. Anybody in the business knows Seth Godin. It's never a bad idea to go read his blog. You can always get some great insight. I think it's also important to be doing some searching on that micro moments white paper. You need to be thinking about that. That'll help you whether you are a marketer and you're just like, what? Micro moments? What? Because you were so busy doing your job, you didn't realize that. And you hadn't hit maybe a conference recently. Or you're coming up as a young marketer coming out of school. That's something you need to be thinking about. And I would highly recommend that you subscribe to Think, Google's Think. Then also I would ask that you start to pay attention to this notion that we can have this formulaic day-to-day, doesn't require a lot of additional energy. We've kind of got it in the box. We pack it up, we put a bow on it, and we create some banner ads. We then have different versions of it. We throw it out there. We test it. Can't be thinking like that anymore. We've got to be talking about how we as marketers are going to take a look at ad blocking from a bigger conversation. I think I mentioned I hate that word, but a bigger discussion around ad blocking. So I know this is at least probably 10 minutes, and I'm going to get a lot of flack for it. I'm going to stop it here so that there can be some conversation, communication, discussion in the comments below, and start thinking about this. Hopefully we can help each other. And then next week, I'll share some more insights on ad blocking. Thanks for stopping by. Take it easy.